Alright, so in this video, we're going to talk about moto camping 2-up. Let's check it out. What's going on YouTube? FXCLS Brooklyn is back in the building. If you saw a previous video, then you saw us leave Brooklyn to go moto camping, and this bike is very, very loaded up. As you can see, we're running a special sissy bar that has the rack on the bottom allowing us to do this. Just for your context of how I have this packed right now, obviously we got the Leather Pros, but the base pack is the Biltwell XWell 65. Waterproof, and then everything is lined and packed on top of it. What we have is 2 sleeping mats, one here, one 2-person tent. We have 2 chairs, that's over here, rain gear, coffee setup all the way on top, and then a clear visor hanging off the back. It's probably the most sketchy part of this. If I lose that thing, no one's gonna be surprised. Yeah, pretty simple setup. You know, we rode all the way from Brooklyn to the Catskills with this and nothing fell off, so I'm pretty confident running with what we have right now. And yeah, that's where we're at. There are questions about the visor. Yeah, let's see if we could stash this in the bag.
FXCLS Brooklyn is all about safety, you know.
Yeah. I was actually able to get that in there. Okay. That's a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. And then probably the most important ingredient for your 2-up moto camping trip is someone who will do it with you and not complain when things go wrong, and will laugh at the ridiculous moments on the road, and who will keep a positive mental attitude at every turn.
You see YouTube, that's called foreshadowing.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard that, but she said, hey YouTube, that's called foreshadowing. That's it, of course. We have Jenny, my fiance, in the building doing her first moto camping trip, and here we go. Let's get into it. There's your startup as always. Woo! Thunder in the mountains. Let's roll. You ready, brother?
Yeah, brother.
Let's roll, brother. And there you have it. So you all know my track record at this point in terms of bike trips. I have many cross-country trips under my belt. I have a Canada trip under my belt. I have multiple moto camping trips under my belt. All of it's been on a Harley Davidson Dyna. I have a couple of shorter bike trips under my belt that I've done 2-up, but those have been hitting Airbnbs. So I figure let's keep branching out, let's keep seeing where we can take this. And for this one, we're doing our first, this will be our first 2-up moto camping trip. So I did recently my first solo moto camping trip, and I like to think it was pretty successful. I had a really good time. There was minimal issues, and yeah, I think for the first time doing it by myself, it was really smooth, and I had a blast, man. It was definitely smoother than the first time I went moto camping with the old man. You know, there was a lot of lessons that we learned, and yeah, I mean, for anyone who's looking to do this type of riding and these types of bike trips where you're challenging yourself to camp on top of already putting in the miles, especially on something like a Dyna, I would say embrace it with that mindset that mistakes are going to happen and you're going to forget things, but it's like they say, like iron sharpens iron, and the only way you're ever going to get to the point where you have your perfect loadout and you've refined the things that you're bringing down to a T of what you actually need is to just keep doing the trips and to keep learning. And the only way you do that is to put yourself into the struggles and the hardships of finding that you don't have the right piece of gear when you need it, or finding that you're not equipped for whatever the weather throws at you. But then the challenge of doing it 2-up, as you're seeing, is now you have the challenge of taking another person's luggage, right, and having to rearrange your luggage to make it work. And what I would say is the #1 game changer in terms of doing that is that sissy bar that I'm running with that rack that's coming off of it. That's nothing fancy. That's actually my buddy Nick out in Brooklyn hooked me up with that. You know, I guess he wasn't using it, so he let me borrow it. It's actually a Harley Davidson brand one. I know the back plates as well as the luggage rack, and I'm assuming the sissy bar itself with the pad is all Harley brand stuff. I know the back plates and I know the luggage rack is. But the problem is you know, they haven't made Dynas in a long time, so it's getting harder and harder to find Harley brand Dyna parts. And I just was trying to find those side plates, man, and literally they're back ordered until December. So luckily my buddy Nick, I knew he had this sissy bar that I needed, and he was able to hook it up. So I'm definitely going to be bothering him when I get back home to try to buy it from him. But if you're doing it on a Dyna, or you're doing it on something that's not a bagger, something not meant to do this, I would say the thing that has made it the most doable is having that sissy bar with the luggage rack coming off the back. Because then that allows you to just, as you saw, just pile up the things you need, you know? And it looks sketchy, right? It looks like it's a lot, but a lot of those things are actually really lightweight. Like, for example, those chairs and the sleeping mats and all that stuff. All that stuff is pretty lightweight, so I'm not too worried about, you know, putting an excessive amount of weight on there, because it looks like a lot, but it's not. So yeah, you're catching me doing it for the first time, so I could only tell you about what I'm trying right now and what the loadout is. But again, my mindset is that something is going to go wrong. I'm prepared, and I'm prepared to be flexible when that thing happens, because this is the first time we're trying this, so inevitably something is going to go wrong. So I'm sure I'll have a follow-up video for y'all where I could give you some probably better information, being that I actually did the thing and coming out on the other end, what I can tell you about doing it. So stay tuned for that, because again, you're only just catching me like initially trying this for the first time, so we gotta actually, you know, put the stakes in the ground, raise the tent, do the whole damn thing, load and unload the bike before I can tell you fully if there's anything else maybe you want to have besides, you know, basic camping gear, right? A luggage rack that can handle your gear as well as your passengers. Oh, here we go. But that's alright. You know, I don't need to blast through these twisties today with a fully loaded Dyna and the girl on the back. So if we gotta be stuck behind some trikes and Can-Ams, that's okay with me today. I'm not gonna be passing this crew. I'm not doing it today. And that's okay. Give me a minute to finish giving you my thoughts here on 2-up moto camping. Oh my god. Oh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. Oh, now that, I appreciate that very much. See that? That I appreciate. It's like, look, if you're going to take one of the best roads in New York that slow, then have the courtesy for your fellow rider to let them pass. I appreciate that. Woo! That ain't pretty. Damn, I don't know if you guys caught that, but that was a mutilated deer on the side of the road. Another good reminder to keep your ego and your speed in check, especially when you got the precious cargo on the back. But yeah, you know, in terms of the weight of the bike, this is definitely the most weight I've ever put on this bike before. That's a passenger plus the bike fully loaded for a bike trip. That's, again, the most amount of weight I've ever put on the bike before. So I'm definitely on my A game right now. I'm trying to be on point in the slow speed maneuvers, because that's going to be when the weight gets away from you. Definitely did a couple brake tests, you know, with the bike fully loaded with her on the back at different speeds, just knowing what my stopping capability would be in the emergency situation with that amount of weight. And And that's it. You know, it's really just when you're loading, when you're putting that amount of weight on your bike, the biggest thing you want to be careful with is your slow speed maneuvers, especially if it's uneven terrain, like a hill or whatnot, or if you got gravel or sand or whatnot. That's when you're going to have a foot slide out when you try to lay it down, or you're going to have the weight get away from you on a hill and you're going to drop that bike. And I'll tell you what, I've dropped the bike in both of those scenarios. I'll be the first to admit it. But yeah, and again, the other thing I can't stress enough is you want to have someone with you that is excited to do it. So this wasn't the type of thing where I was just begging Jenny, like, oh, we got to do this thing, let's just try it, come on. You know, I wouldn't be doing this if she wasn't fully comfortable and excited about the idea. So she wanted to do it. She was excited about it. I heard her telling her friends from work about it. So I was like, all right, if she's like that engaged with the idea and she's that interested, then I'll do it. Because if you have a passenger, whether it's somebody you're intimately involved with or not, and they are not fully in it and their heart is not into the bike trips, then when the inevitable hardships do come, it's going to be a problem, because that's when their frustrations are going to come out, you know, when you have the breakdowns or you have whatever. But if you got somebody that's excited for it, then they kind of know what they're signing up for. And Jenny, well, she's been riding with me for 6 years at this point, so she's had almost every level of calamity on this bike, so she's pretty seasoned in regards to what could go wrong. So in terms of a passenger, I couldn't ask for better. But yeah, FXTLS Brooklyn's initial tips for engaging in this type of riding would be: number one, dial in your luggage situation. Get yourself a luggage rack if you're on a Dyna. And then number two, dial in your passenger. Make sure you got somebody who's not only going to be excited to do it, but who's going to support you in loading and unloading the bike and booking the campground and going in to talk to the front desk, so it's not some heavily tattooed dude with a New York accent covered in road grime. That's what you're looking for, right? But yeah, those are my initial thoughts as we try something new. That's what keeps riding motorcycles exciting to me, is trying new things when I can and further challenging myself when I can. And that's it. This is what we're doing right now. So we're gonna throw down another, let's see, we're at probably 150 miles already today. We're about to be throwing down over that. So we'll be topping off at over a 300-mile day at this point of all back roads like what we're on right now. So I'm super excited for it. And this type of riding is actually not super fun on this bike when you're in a heat wave, but the temperature finally broke out here. We're in the last day of August and it's in the low 70s, and the bike is super happy. You know, I don't feel like the motor's melting. I don't feel like I'm dying sitting above an open oven. So that's what's up, man. I can get down with that. My only concern going forward into the riding that we're doing is I did see that where we're going, the low is 55. So that's, to me, if I'm riding highways, that's almost to the point where I'm throwing on heated gear. So, but again, that's as low as it can get. So I think that's kind of the saving grace is, you know, it's only going to get that low. And again, I'm on a bike right now that can handle that amount of wind better than any other bike. So that's kind of what I've built this bike for as well, is to be able to handle the cold winds in winter. So yeah, man. Alright, so yeah, I'm excited. I'm feeling really good. You can probably hear it in my voice. I'm going to let y'all go as I focus on my riding and enjoy some of these roads that we're going to be on for the next 4 hours. As always, stay safe out there. Challenge yourself to do the bike trips. Challenge yourself to do it 2 up, you know? Take advantage of the moments with your loved ones when you can, because we're all living on borrowed time. The next bike trip is not promised. And enjoy them while you can, man. And on that, FXCL's Brooklyn is out.